Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana QAMAR Sahib Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Tuesday at about 9:30 a.m. at Baitul Azkar in Wasiabad, Allahabad, UP, India. Tuesday, the 3rd of Jumadul Akhirah, 1444, corresponding with the English date, 27th of December 2022. Hazrat Wala starts off this majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Thereafter, Hazrat Wala reads these couplets, Ya Sahib al-Jamali wa Ya Sayyid al-Bashar. Oh, that personality of beauty, who possessed so much of beauty, wa Ya Sayyid al-Bashar, oh, the leader of mankind, min wajhika al-munir laqad nuwwira al-qamar. It is due to the beauty of your countenance that the moon has become illuminated and has found its light. Allahu Akbar. La yumkinu thana kama kana haqqahu. It is not possible actually to praise you as you deserve to be praised. Ba'd az khuda buzrug tu hi qissa mukhtasar. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no position for anyone else. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is only you. And that's just to cut the story short. Qissa mukhtasar, that's it. After Allah, it is you. Hazrat Wala has in front of him the kitab, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, al-insanul kamil, insan kamil sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And most definitely, he was insan kamil. He was the perfect human. Hazrat Wala has then selected for the discussion for today, Be-misal tawazu, unparalleled, a humility, unparalleled, a humility. So here we start going into it. Tawazu and humility in the lughat and in the dictionary, it is at-tadallul, to create lowliness and humbleness within you. And in the urfan, in the urf, what would we understand it to be? The translation of tawazu, that when insan comes out of the demands of his honor, you know that love for honor and jah, when he comes out of that and he comes down, he lowers himself. Allahu Akbar. And according to the muhakkikeen, the ulama of research, they say the meaning is Allah yara al-abd li nafsihi qadran, that a person does not see any type of or attach any type of value to himself, any type of qadr. قال Abu Zayd radiyallahu ta'ala an says that so long as a person thinks that there is someone amongst the makhluk who is more evil and wicked than him, then such a person is a mutakabbir. Allahu Akbar. Ma dama al-abd yadhunnu anna fil khalq man huwa sharrun minhu fahuwa mutakabbir. فَقِيلَ لَهُ, it was then said to him, فَمَتَى يَكُونُ مُتَوَاضِعًا. Okay, listen, you're saying this. So then when will he become truly a person who possesses humility? قَالَ, he says and he answers, إِذَا لَمْ يَرَى لِنَفْسِهِ مَقَالًا وَلَا حَالًا. When he does not find in himself to have any type of maqal, speech which is worthy of being looked at, or any type of spiritual state. He understands himself to be just nothing. وقال, and he goes on to say, ليس المتواضع الذي إذا تواضع رأى أنه فوق ما صنع. The person who's a mutawadi, who is trying to adopt humility, he is not a possessor or a bearer of humility if when he adopts humility, then he understands himself to have achieved that. However, the person who genuinely is a mutawadi, one who has adopted the humility in the true sense, he is the one who possesses this. Listen carefully, that when he adopts humility, then he understands himself still to be lower than that and still seeking that. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab wanted to create this year within us, tadallul, that how can a person understand himself to be nothing? How can he understand himself to be the lowest of low and understand others to be better than him? Allahu Akbar. And this is why he would then bring up such type of situations and scold someone and do this and do that, all in the name of trying to create this sifat in those in the assembly in front of him. Now, tawadu sometimes comes about when a person witnesses, realizes and understands how great his Rabb and his Allah is. That's when true tawazu comes in a person. And this year is the genuine tawazu, and you cannot get higher than this. And sometimes you would find that tawazu comes about in a person when he looks at his own weaknesses, faults and deficiencies. Allahu Akbar. والتواضع تارة يكون من شهود عظمة ربه، وهذا هو التواضع الحقيقي الذي يمكن ارتفاعه الذي لا يمكن ارتفاعه. Okay, let's continue. You know, I went to another country. I was touring. I was called there, and then you know how they write names of people when they have achieved something or when they have done something or this or that or the other. They put it down or they note it. And this person here became upset. He was angry. Why? When they wrote his name, they did not write there Maulana so and so. Allahu Akbar. Now this here is what is our condition. This is our condition. And an Arab alim is saying, quoting the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he is teaching Sayyidina Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala an, who is a young child at that time, maybe between the ages of 8 and 10 years old. He's teaching him how to ask help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's teaching him the sifat of tawakkul, etc. And then he goes on, he looks at his gathering and he says, alas, what has happened today? That today we, at the age of 60 and 70, we don't even know the definitions of these salient features which Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam taught the Sahaba. Now, I asked my son Saeed, who's this alim? And he says, listen, he's very, very young, but Allah Ta'ala has given him such capacity that when he sits there on his takhat and he speaks, then he brings about such a revolution and reformation that by means of his talks, hundreds and thousands of people stand up in the direction of amal. Allahu Akbar. You know, it was asked of, we are asked that, listen, my brother, what was the happiest day in your life? So we will say, the happiest day in my life was the day when I got married. The same question was asked to a Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my brother, what was the happiest day in your life? And he said, the day that Allah Ta'ala revealed in the Quran that He had made me maaf. for what I done. That Sahabi, you must be recording the incident when my maghfirat was revealed from the heavens. That was the happiest day of my life. So we are saying now a person is becoming angry that my name is not written, and why didn't they write their Maulana in this and that? So when we find this type of evil characteristics, abhorrent character within the khawas. What khawas? What khawas are you telling me? That is bakwas. Allahu Akbar. Bahut shad must Hazrat Wala is speaking about this here, and he's saying that what tabqa of khawas are you in? Are you from the elite? Are you from the religious category of the ummah? No. Rather, I think you are from the rot. You are right from the bottom, at the bottom there. Bakwas. And listen, maybe usi mein se apne ko, I'm also from this category. I'm telling you people about this here, but listen, I am also from that same category, and I don't understand myself to be absolved and excused from whatever I am discussing here about this here, what we are talking about, khawas and bakwas and all that. This here is a very short kitab, simple mukhtasar kitab that I have in front of me, Insan-e Kamil sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it is very jami' and it is very all comprehensive. Hazrat Wala also quotes from the kitab there, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, narrated from Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala an, where he says, "La tatrunni kama atratin Nasara Isa ibn Maryam." That do not exaggerate in my praise like how the Nasara exaggerated in the praise of Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam. Rather, innama ana abdun. Rather, I am a slave. I am a servant. Faqulu. So say, Abdullah wa Rasuluh. Rather say this about me. You talking about me? Say this about me. That I am the servant of Allah and I am His Rasul. We go on, and then the author quotes another incident from amongst the incidents which encompass the great, beautiful characteristic and salient feature of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was his tawazu and his humbleness. He says that Anas radiyallahu ta'ala an says that a lady, a slave girl, comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she says to him, I've got some work with you. And then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Ijlisi, come, sit. Wherever you deem suitable, whichever one of the gullies of Medina, and I will come there and sit with you. This narration is in Tirmizi Sharif. Now Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Nabi of Allah, and a slave girl is coming, and she wants time from him, and she's got some work with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she's calling him, and she wants to tell him this and that and the other, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam agrees to that, and he accompanies her and goes with her. And Anas we continue that it was a very far-fetched thing that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would complain to anyone regarding his type of difficulty that he was in. And Bukhari has mentioned also that a slave girl comes and takes the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and pulls him and takes him because she has some work with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't pull his hand. He goes with her and he finishes up that work and he listens to her story to the end. In all of this here, we understand the perfection of the humility of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is so open and it is not hidden from anyone. Also, from amongst the tawazu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is this incident that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the choice between being Nabiyyan Abdan or Nabiyyan Malakan. That Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was given the choice between being a Nabi who is a servant and a slave and a Nabi who is a king. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam then chose that of Abdiyat, فاختار العبدية تواضعا لله ta'ala. He said that I want to be a Nabi who is a simple ordinary servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is established from the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala an, that Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam came to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and then he looked to the heavens and then he says, today such an angel has come down that has not come down before this day since he has been created. Nevertheless, when he comes down, he says that, Ya Muhammad, O Muhammad, arsalani ilayka rabbuk, that has sent me to you your Rabb. That, do you want to be a Nabi who is a king or a Nabi who is the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam then says, or indicates, gives ishara and mashwara to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that tawadha' li rabbika ya Muhammad, O Muhammad, choose tawazu. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam then says, La bal abdan rasula, I want to be that Nabi who is a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also from the incidents which we quote about the tawazu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his humility is what Anas radiyallahu ta'ala an quotes, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ya'udul marda wa yashhadul janaiz wa yarkabul himar. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would visit the sick, he would attend the janaza, and he would even mount a donkey. And he would even answer to the invitation of a slave. He would even answer to the invitation of a slave. Also, an incident here where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mounted that donkey, and then he asked Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala also to mount, and then with the result, both of them then fell off. And then after that, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mounted a second time, and he called Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala and then he said that, O Abu Hurairah, O Nabi of Allah, listen, it's fine, you remain mounted, I won't, because if I'm going to jump on, you will then fall down for the second time. Allahu Akbar. Now all of this here shows you the peak and the heights of the humility of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kana yadnu min al-marid. He used to come close to the sick person. وَيَجْلِسُ عِنْدَ رَأْسِهِ. He would then sit at his head side. وَيَسْأَلُهُ عَنْ حَالِ. And then he would ask him, how are you doing? كَيْفَ تَجِدُكَ. How do you find yourself? How are you feeling now? أو كيف أصبحت أو كيف أمسيت. Listen, how did you make morning? How are you feeling this morning? How are you feeling this evening? And then he would say, make dua for him by saying, لا بأس عليك طهور بإذن الله. So in all of this year, we discuss and we learn about the tawazu, the humility of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. You know, on one occasion, there was some wakil that invited us and myself and Bhai Sahib when Karimuddin Sahib. The two of us were invited. Hazrat didn't come. Nevertheless, they seated us on a chair and a table. We went there, we ate, and we came. But after that, they shor ho gaya. There was a big hoo-ha about this year that, oh, Hazrat's son-in-laws sat on a chair. Now at that time there, Hazrat didn't say something against. Hazrat at that time there then said that, listen, it's fine, they're young. It's fine, they are young. And today when I go around and I see what to even say. I mean, the other night we were invited and I didn't go. And after that, Abdullah was saying to me that, Abba, it's good you didn't come. It's good you didn't come. It wasn't appropriate at all. These days also when I go, leave alone sitting. We even forgotten that the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was to sit and eat. But when we go, we see people standing and sitting. And what's the style and the vibe there? It is in the modern day, what do we talk about? We say buffet style. That all the big utensils and the pots are kept. A person takes his plate and then he goes and he dishes out. After that, people don't come back to the table and sit. They stand around in groups and in circles and then they eat their food just like that. On one occasion, Hazrat Wala was at the Darul Loom, and then he's an Ali Medin, and he was a great Sheikh, a Kamil as well. But when he looked at his audience in front of him, what did he say? But it was, after all, what was it? The Ghalba of Ilm. And then he went on to say, Agar Sufiya ne Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ke hal ki hifazat ki. If the Safiya made hifazat and they collected and they looked after, they adopted and they conveyed the hal and the spiritual state of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then remember well, the ulama have done nothing lesser. Meaning they made hifazat of every naqal and harkat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ahadith. How did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam stand? How did he sit? How did he eat? And this and that, and saying this and that and the other. In all of that, Hazrat's voice went louder at that time, and it is at that time when the signs of the stroke became apparent in him. Hakim Shamsuddin, who was a very great alim himself, he used to say, come from Lucknow and say that I come here because of the ilm of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib. So Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to always have ilm on top and tasawwuf beneath it. Ilm is tasawwuf, daqiqast. This ilm of tasawwuf is a very delicate and fine type of knowledge. You know, there's this incident of a person, he was there and some type of a conversation was going on, and he found it hard to understand that part, that the love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam must be even more than your love for your parents, your children, rather anybody else there out in the entire world. Nevertheless, that alim then started to speak about the sirat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Speaking. This person was so taken aback by the sirat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then in between, Just all of a sudden that alim goes on and says that, but your father was also such a wonderful person. Your parents were like this. They done this, they done that, the other. And this person was so annoyed by that, saying that, Hazrat, speak about the seerat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that, what can I say, you would find in the heart of every single believer, truly and honestly, that they would most definitely understand Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, rather their love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to speak about him and to listen about him would be more tremendous in comparison to that of their parents. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to also speak about the incidents and the times and occasions where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would wear an expensive and beautiful Yamani chadar. And he would go on to say that, look at this, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore this so that also wealthy people would be able to practice on the sunnats of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also wore fine and beautiful clothing. And then he would go on to say that sometimes you only go on to say that, how do we phrase it? And we say, Kali Kamli Wali, that a person wrapped in a blanket, a person wrapped in a very simple and ordinary type of a cloak or a shawl. But on the other hand, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to present this side of it and this angle of it as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat in every department and in every type of our work and in our actions and in every line of ours to make ittiba of the sunnat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah ta'ala make us from the ushaq, make us from the lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. Muhammadun Basharun la kal bashari bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari. Allama Sharani has written this. He has written this, that this Sheikh was there, and then in his majlis he quoted in the praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammadun Basharun la kal bashari bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari. And what was it? What was the answer of that? What was he informed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about that? That his maghfirat was made, and everyone who was sitting in that majlis who heard this praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspire us. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.